Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and KWBY, and again on Saturday morning at 9 on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Terry Slavens to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Well, a very pleasant good Wednesday morning and Happy New Year, everyone. It is Life Planning 101 right here on KTX, KWY, a special Wednesday edition, and Angela Kennedy Robinson joins us as usual. Good morning, Angela, and Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Wow. Cannot believe 2018 has already come to an end, and here we are kicking off a great new year with so much in store. Everybody's got their New Year's resolutions up and ready, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Of course they do, especially after last week.
Brett's favorite time of the year when everybody goes to the gym, right?
Yes, this is true. This is true. So, and you know, that's exactly what the show's about today. Imagine that. Putting your financial plan on the fast track for 2019. And the reason I chose to do this is, you know, especially after last week's show, which, by the way, if you missed last week's show, you missed last week's article, you really need to go back and read it. It's a great level-setting conversation to have with yourself when it comes to making your New Year's resolution. But this week in particular, what I want to point out is, and you just said it, Terry, what do most people do? What do they usually set New Year's resolutions for?
Working out, losing weight, getting in better shape.
Yeah, getting out of debt, cleaning out the garage. I mean, there's all these, I call them pain points, right? They're usually the biggest, most persistent points of pain in your life at the present moment. And that's what we address in our New Year's resolution.
Why do I get the feeling this is going to be a toe-stomping session?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, but in a good way, because what I want to do is I want to change your frame of mind as you set these resolutions so that when you get knocking on the year 2020, you aren't doing the same thing and you don't find yourself in the same place. Sound like a deal?
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. So why do we wait until something is such a source of pain or an irritation that we do something about it? Why is that? It's human nature that we don't deal with it until we just can't stand it anymore.
It's easier to keep putting it off, and you hope it'll go away, but it never does.
That's exactly right. And unfortunately, when we have that kind of nearsightedness, it actually ends up doing more harm than good. Okay? And I've got an analogy for you I want you to think about. I want you to imagine that you're going on a road trip across the United States, except you have one caveat. The entire trip, you can only see 10 feet in front of you. How irritating would that be?
Very irritating.
How many times are you going to have to back up?
Many times.
Right? How many times are you going to miss something because you can't see into the distance?
Lots of times.
And if you really get to thinking about that, is that not how you're driving your life? You've got that nearsightedness where you're looking 10 feet in front of you. Every year when we set these resolutions, we're backing up. We're turning around. We're slowing down. You know, we're starting another short-sighted resolution, and we're not fixing the problem. So what resolutions can you make that are going to help you keep your eyes on the future while still cleaning up these messes, still taking care of these pain points that you have in the meantime, but really focus on the long term and get things fixed for once and for all? Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a great plan.
Well, when we come back, we've got the top 5 in regard to your financial plan and putting it on the fast track for 2019. You're not going to want to miss it right here on Life Planning 101.
Segment 2, Life Planning 101, right here on KTX KDY. We're talking about your financial health in the new year. Angela?
Yes, and putting it on the fast track for 2019. You know, we mentioned before the break that we always set these resolutions that are nearsighted, and it's like being on a road trip where you can only see 10 feet in front of you, and you're going to end up having to back up, turn around, slow down, or just miss something entirely because you can't see out in the distance. And, you know, last week we talked about beginning with the end in mind and how important it is to set those long-term goals out there. So that's where we want to start. We're going to give you the top 5 things that you really need to put in your resolutions in regard to your financial plan. And I'm going to do these in descending order, with the last one being the most important. But and particularly just because we talked about it last week, is number 5 is setting your goals or planning your trip. I mean, if you think about, you're going on that road trip across the United States, you're not going to go far if you don't know where you're going. I mean, how many times do you hear people spend weeks, months planning a vacation, yet how much time do you actually spend on your own personal financial goals, or, even your health, right? So what are those goals? When do you want to retire? Do you want to pay for your children or your grandchildren to go to school? What's more of a priority? Maybe you're already retired, and the question is, do you want to stay successfully retired? Maybe you want to pass on your legacy, and that's what's most important to you. What is it, where are you at in life, that you want to be able to set these long-term goals? And, so many times we set a resolution, and we don't even have that trip planned. We don't even have a goal set. So, number 1, make sure you're doing that. Number 2, follow a scheduled maintenance plan, so to speak. In other words, manage your risk. Okay, going back to this whole analogy of a road trip. If you were going on a road trip, what are you going to do before you leave with your car? Yeah, you're going to have service, right? You're going to have a maintenance. You're going to make sure you got air in the tires. You're going to make sure your oil's changed. If you're going somewhere cold, you're going to make sure you get in a freezer, right? No matter who you are, you should have insurance coverage, even if it's just liability insurance. You sure wouldn't want to be driving around without that, right? But very few people take the time to actually protect their goals in the same way. If you think about it, if you have a young executive that's stocking back every dollar that he can and, makes $200,000 a year, but forgets to have life insurance and ends up in a car wreck, what just happened? What just happened to his family? What did he leave behind?
He left them in a big problem, financially.
A world of mess.
Yes.
We just witnessed it. We just witnessed a young widow that had a world of mess left behind because husband didn't plan appropriately, and she's having to sell everything, change her entire lifestyle with 3 little ones at home. And I always ask the question: is your retirement plan insured? Right? Is it at the risk of death or disability if it were to occur? What if you're already retired? Is it insured from the fact of getting sick? And we often think, well, I won't get sick. Well, I want to ask you a question. What's more important? You saying you're not going to get sick, or your spouse being taken care of if you do?
You want to make sure your spouse is taken care of.
That's exactly right. But we forget that. We don't do the scheduled maintenance on our planning the way we do the scheduled maintenance on our cars. And it's pretty sad. So, another thing, is your plan protected from lawsuits, right? This is a biggie. I always talk about with property and casualty agents, whoever you use, and it's no fault to them. It's just the way the system works. You work on what we call don't ask, don't tell situation with your agent. And so you're looking for the best price, and they're going to figure out what's the best price or beat what you currently have, right? And, who is actually taking a look at that knows your situation, your net worth, your income, everything that you've got going on business-wise, personal-wise, make sure that you've got the proper insurance and that you're paying the proper amount to protect you as much as you can from lawsuits before they even occur.
Absolutely.
Right. It's so important. So important. So, and heaven forbid, what about a divorce? Do you have that planned for? And it may not be yours, but what about your children?
Right.
So many people, set out their estate planning documents and this and that, and we've seen it happen. We've actually witnessed someone get disinherited, a grandchild get disinherited because of a divorce.
Wow.
Never meant to happen. But there wasn't a scheduled maintenance plan. There was no way to make sure that all the air was in the tires because no one just checked. They never check. So it's very important. We talk about these New Year's resolutions. Number 1, set those goals. Number 2, manage your risk inside of there. You can't not do it enough. Number 3, fill up before you go anywhere. Are you going to go on a road trip without putting gas in your car?
Absolutely not. You won't go very far.
This sounds like a very dumb question, right? But the thing is, when it comes to your financial planning, we do it all the time. How many of us pay all of our obligations first, spend money, and then whatever's left over we save?
Most people, that's the way they operate.
That's right. What about paying yourself first? Filling up before you go anywhere. Because remember, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times on the show, the young person you are today is the only one that's going to be there to take care of the old person that you're going to be someday, right? And the one is hard to make a priority when you have so many, and I get this, you got so many obligations, your family, your liabilities, your lifestyle, but you just got to remember, because I hear it over and over again, well, next year, well, when I get this done, when I get this done. And every year that you don't make your future a priority, you're putting that old person in jeopardy. It gets harder and harder to make it up. The time value of money goes away, and it is tough. So know how much you need to invest for your future and just do it this year. Live off the rest. That budget off the rest, whatever it takes. Figure out a way to be able to put money back for yourself and fill up before you do anything. Pay yourself first. When we come back, there's 2 more resolutions that are going to get you out of this nearsightedness that we keep doing to ourselves every year and help put you on a long-term successful track for your financial plan.
Final segment of this first 2019 edition of Life Planning 101. Angela has some great points, 2 more great points she wants to share with you about your financial health and planning for it in 2019.
That's right. And what better way to put yourself on track with a resolution that's long-term but addresses all those pain points that you want to address about your finances today. Again, get out of that nearsighted cycle of every year having to do something because it just seems to never get better, and trying to figure out how to put your plan on the fast track for the rest of your life, for what you really want your finances to be there for. Finances, I think, are extremely frustrating. I work in the world of money, and I hate money. I do. I think, it should all be about life. It should all be about what we want to achieve and the vision that we have for ourselves. Yet money is kind of like oxygen in our world. We got to have it to make things work. And so if you've got to have it, be a good steward of it and figure out how to be able to make it work for you and you're not working for it. So we've talked about what do you need to do? Set your goals. Manage your risk. Pay yourself first. Put yourself ahead of everything else in the sense of putting back for your future and for your family rather than addressing the here and the now and just focusing on spending that money. And then we've got the last 2. Number 2, again, if you're going on that road trip across the U.S., you're going to keep the spare tire full of air, right? If you don't, what's inevitable to happen?
Flat tire and you're stranded.
There's no doubt. We've all had it happen, right? So this is your emergency savings. People get into debt primarily for one reason. They had this, and this come up. Well, this, in quotations, happens to all of us if you don't have cash, and then you only have one option. And guess what it is? Credit. So the inevitable is be ready for, quotation, this, because it will happen. It's going to happen. We've all been there where everything breaks down at once, or we're having to repair everything at once. And so you need to have enough cushion inside of your budget that you've been putting money aside every single month, and you've got 3 to 6 months of living expenses set aside at all times. At all times. And if you don't, that is your first priority in 2019. You've got to have that emergency savings. I hear so many people that are in so much debt say, well, I just need to pay this off. And I tell them all the time, I say, well, okay, that's great. And I agree with Dave Ramsey. You need to pay it off. There's no doubt. But if you don't build up an emergency savings aside from that, and you pay all that extra on your debt right now, and then you end up in emergency between now and then, what have you just done?
Put yourself right back in the same hole.
You're in the same hole, or worse. What if your credit's shot now? What if you can't get any more credit, right? You've got to have that floating device. You have to have that spare tire full of air all the time, not just some of the time. That emergency savings is critical. So you talk about, again, short-term pain, paying off those liabilities. But I promise you, when you see 6 months of cash sitting in your savings account that you can always pay off the debt, aren't you going to feel a lot better?
You sleep a lot better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So make it a priority in 2019. And the number one thing to put your financial plan on the fast track in 2019 is build and maintain your roadmap. If you're going on that road trip and you don't know where you're going, how the heck are you going to get anywhere?
You're not.
Yeah. Well, your budget is the same thing. Build and maintain your budget. I know that sounds like a nasty word. I just read a great article. It was talking about a budget really isn't what a budget says it is. A budget is all about tracking expenses. And I want to give you this analogy going back to this road trip. Have you ever, you may have to rewind a few years to remember this. You used an old GPS.
Yes.
Okay. How frustrating was that?
Very frustrating.
Very frustrating, right? Especially if you're in a hurry to be somewhere.
Right.
Or what if you've got a map that you can't figure out? What if it's out of proportion? It doesn't work, right? And that's just like your life. Believe it or not, if you're functioning without a budget or without knowing where you're at because you haven't tracked your expenses, then how can you possibly make any good financial decision about your future? You don't know what you can afford. You don't know what you can do. And I'm talking to millionaires. They don't know what they can afford. You're bringing in 7 figures a year, but you don't know what's going on and where your money is going. How do you know if you should be putting money in this place or making this investment or doing this? How do you know what you should have in the way of your scheduled maintenance plan, so to speak? You can't. You have to know where you're at to be able to know where you need to go or what you need to do, right? It's kind of like having that "You Are Here" sign in the middle of the map. Isn't that handy? Isn't that what we first look at when we go to a mall?
Yes.
Where are we at, right? Well, that's your budget. You are here. I want to get to here, and I'm here. So how do I do that? Well, that's your first step. So, the thing is, we work with people, and this is so true, that are just starting out in life, to those that are making that 7-figure income a year, and it doesn't matter that person. We preach the same thing. And guess what it is? Budget.
Budget.
And it may seem tough, but I'm telling you, you cannot let that be the reason for your entire financial plan to break. Because if you don't do it, your entire financial plan will break. The most successful people that we see, the most successful families that we work with know where their dollars are going. They can almost tell you to the T where their dollars are going. And you know this, Terry, you're a business owner. Most successful business owners out there know exactly where their dollars are going all the time, right?
Yes.
So what's the difference between your business and your personal life?
Shouldn't be any.
Shouldn't be any, yet we treat it that way. We just give up when it gets to our personal life. So you can't. And I promise you, if you do these 5 simple things in 2019, guess what's going to end up happening?
You're going to have a successful plan going forward.
You are, and you're not going to be in the same place January 2020 thinking, oh my gosh, I got to lose weight again financially. No, you're going to be thinking bigger, better things because you have the ability to think bigger and better because you put yourself on the fast track for your long-term goals, not your short-term goals. So the choice is yours, right? We're here to help at Kennedy Financial Services in the great town of Eastland, Texas, and just ask us about any one of these resolutions and how to get on the fast track for 2019. We've got all kinds of tools and availability. Our learning center is great at kennedy-financial.com. Make sure you go there. But we just want to wish everyone a very blessed New Year. May God bless you and your families. It has been a wonderful 2018, and we surely appreciate all of our listeners. Very grateful for you. So have a great week. My name is Angela Kennedy Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services here in Eastland, Texas.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and KWBY, and again on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on KATX and KWBY for more Life Planning 101.
Advisory services offered through Smart Money Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services Incorporated is an independent of Calton & Associates Incorporated and Smart Money Group, LLC.